I'm Nate. I'm the founder of 3000. So we're Melbourne-based. Actually, we started in Melbourne, but moved to the UK a few months later. That was just before COVID. So I've been growing my brand here for the last 4 years. Very excited to have this chat with Galanacci. I've actually never sat down and had a conversation with another designer in a setting like this before. And I'm very excited to see the questions that the guys have put up for us. So yeah, keen.
So yeah, I'm very excited. This is Ready to Talk. I'm going to be talking to Nate, and it'll be nice to actually see and kind of like hear how he's approached his brand, and then bounce off ideas, because obviously I'm also a brand owner, and then just share ideas and just vibe out. So what do you enjoy the most about being a designer?
Yeah, for me, I absolutely love just seeing people wear my stuff.
Hell yeah.
It's like actually the two things are getting a fucking sample that comes and it's just like bang on. You don't have to go. So many times you get a sample and if it like fits like a kid's top, or that it's way too cropped, or like the neck, like you fit your whole body through the neck, or something ridiculous like that. But like once you get like a really good sample and you can look at it and be like, I created this, like I haven't seen like this on the market before, and you've kind of just had this vision and it just comes out exactly like what you had in your mind. That's like a really special moment, I think. And then second to that is like seeing people wearing your stuff and then just getting like such a positive vibe and so much love from people, which is a little bit selfish, but it just means for me, it keeps me going in a way. Because like, I don't know, that like you don't think when you're starting a brand that it'll get to that point. Like your first, like it's all those first sale type moments where you're like, oh shit, someone actually loves my stuff.
Yeah.
Then sometimes you get like random people messaging you just saying like, oh, you've inspired me to do this, or like your stuff you're putting out is amazing, whatever. Even if they don't buy, but like people showing you love is just like a really cool motivator. And like it's just like that tick that you're doing something right. I think that's what makes like all the losses kind of worth it. So like every handful of those makes up for like a truckload of losses, if that makes sense. And it's just fun too, right? So like I still work a day job 9 to 5, which I enjoy, and it's not in the same industry or anything, but I work in startups, so it's similar vibe. But it's nice to have that creative outlet where you can just kind of it's solely you doing something and you have full absolute control of the outcome. So I think that's what I love. What about you?
For me, designer. Well, for me personally, I always see myself as an artist first, then a designer.
What's the difference?
Because for me, as an artist, you're more on the expression, self-expression. So you don't really focus on the, what do you call it, the little detail type of thing. Like you have to be this, that. So the philosophy of an artist bleeds into how I am as a designer. So the way I design my stuff, I don't like it looking perfect. Like my logo, there's like this little kind of like jagged edge on it, and it shows imperfection. And that's the artistic side of me, because an artist can't be perfect, or anyone can't be perfect. So I like to kind of like bleed that into my own brand. But in the perspective of a designer, what I enjoy about being a designer is seeing your ideas from the concept stage all the way down to the final, so your tangible product, and then you just being able to hold it.
Is that all that effort that just comes out in that one piece?
Yeah, it's because it's like it's in your mind and then you bring it out to life. So it's like you've created a living type of thing, a child in a way. And just seeing and going through that process, I think it's like very rewarding. You're like, damn, I made that. I made that shit. And then, like you said, you see it on someone else. They're wearing your stuff. You're like, yo, that looks fucking lit.
Yeah.
And
they're
then
wearing it better than you, and it's just like,
yeah, things like that. And like the first sale too, you're like, yep, there's something here. Like someone paid their own hard-earned money to buy your thing, which they don't even need, but they bought it because they either liked it, they liked the message behind it, or they want to support you. Just those things. It's like, okay, wow, there's value in my creations.
Yeah, 100%.
And then it's just a validation for you to keep going and going and going and going.
Oof, what do you enjoy least about being a designer?
I don't know. It's a difficult one to do because I'm that type of person that enjoys the process, because the process, whether it from the initial stage all the way to the final, it all kind of, how do you say it? It all links in whatever you have on the end stage, the outcome.
You must have had like a real bad sample come through though before.
Oh, actually, okay, there we go.
Yeah. Everyone's got that moment.
It's when
you try to block that out.
I've designed the shit, right? And then there I'm kind of, because I screen print my own, so it's like made to order type of shit. It's when I fuck up something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, fuck that shit, man.
Actually, that's worse than when the supplier fucks it up. Is when
because it's me. It's down.
Yeah.
It's like,
where they're like, you said 70 centimeters, and I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
You look back on the size chart, and you're just like, why did I do that?
Yeah. So yeah, it's those things like, but it's just the mistakes, man. I fucking hate mistakes because I'm a perfectionist. Like,
same.
It needs to be like on first try, it's got to be perfect. But then when it's not, I'm like, fuck this, man. Like, what the fuck?
Same.
But then I've tried to learn and accept that it's all part of the fucking process. Like, that's when we learn. Like, if we didn't have those mistakes, then we can't really develop and move forward.
100.
Yeah.
I think for me, I mean, JT's heard it several times, so I don't want to go into the detail again, but no, I feel like what you just said, like learning to just deal with it and as part of the process took me a while, because I am a perfectionist and like it's quite stressful when things don't go your way. But what I enjoy least is also like those fuck ups, like especially when you do the fuck up. And like, there's been times where I would send something over, for example, and the supplier would be like, "Are you sure? Because like this, like, it's not really like what we normally are used to." And I'm just thinking like, "Oh, they just don't know how to do my style." Like, blah, 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 get in your head, and it might just be like something simple that you've just completely explained wrong, or you've just like chosen a material that just is not right, and it comes back, and you've waited 3 months for this thing, and then you just fucking.
Just mess it up.
Yeah.
It's because it's a learning curve as well. Like, we don't, like, no one, do they even teach how to build a brand? I mean, there's like YouTube stuff now, but like when we initially started, there isn't really a guideline, like, how to approach manufacturers, how to, especially like tech packs and all that, like detailed stuff.
I think all you get on the internet now is like fucking people who have done well. Like, you only hear the good stuff. People are only invited, besides you guys, people are only invited on podcasts and big things when like they've made it and there's something positive to talk about. But not many people really go into like on scale, like when it comes to like teaching people like where the mistakes are. I think that's one thing where there's a huge gap in like becoming a brand owner, specific, like business in general, but a brand owner specifically. Like, there's so many elements to things that you still are learning after 4 or 5 years, and no one teaches you like you said, the manufacturing part, how to price your stuff, like all the fees involved, which is running a website. Like, you don't have to drop anything for like a year, but you still have to pay
the Shopify
like $1,000 in fees for like your website or whatever. So that's definitely like a gap, I think.
No, it's good that you mentioned that, because for me, what I actually saw, that there's only people share like the mistakes after they made it.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't share it during the process. That's why when with my own brand and on my own kind of like IG personal page, I fucking put out the mistakes. I'm like, yo, I fucked this up. And then I'm just like, yeah, man, but it's just part of the shit. Like, I document it so that whoever's the next gen that I inspire, they can look through it and be like, oh shit, he's been sharing the mistakes too,
Mm.
not just like the successful outcomes. Because obviously that's where the growth is, man. It's all in the mistakes. So
Yeah, but I feel like if you're not expecting the mistakes, then
yeah,
it just
yeah,
like it fucks with you.
yeah. No, it does. It
Like
does.
so, if I like read a book or watched a podcast where someone was just openly saying like those years of like trying to find a manufacturer were fucking expensive and terrible, like at least you would kind of be
You'll be ready.
ready and
Yeah,
expecting
yeah,
it,
yeah.
or at least trying to like not make that happen quite a lot. But I think when you're starting a brand, especially in the first 12 months, you're just like very blasé with everything. Like communications to the like suppliers or manufacturers are just like not detailed, or like there's so many fixes that you could like it's simple one liner could have got you past that error, which could have set you back like 3 months. I could talk about that all day, but yeah, I think there's definitely like a gap there to like educate people on that sort
the
of stuff.
mistakes. Yeah.
On a wider scale for sure.
Yeah, definitely. More of the designers now should be pushing out like the mistakes too, because
Yeah,
in that way,
everyone's
of us
trying to
can
be
learn.
like the best though, so it's like
yeah.
you
But
don't
then
really
if
see
you
that.
actually share your mistakes, everyone can learn. So it's just not you gatekeeping the knowledge type of thing.
Yeah, like for example, Cole Buxton, I think really good. I think they did a massive fuck up for their Black Friday sale like 2 years ago when they opened up a store, and they released this video. I think it was like
No, I watched it. It's lit.
yeah, and it was like 20-minute video, but it showed like all their
Yeah,
stress like from opening
yeah.
the store and doing Black Friday, and they were like it was like raw footage, and
yeah,
I think
and
that
they
was
were
like one
swearing
of the
everything.
that was one of the first like I think one of the fans was on the phone to his mum, and his mum's like telling him you need to calm down and all this shit. Like it was proper like that's how I felt at times, not on that scale obviously, but at times when like shit's really hit the fan and like you don't know what else to do. I think that was kind of like they're a massive brand now, so I feel like if they were you didn't know that they were going through that at the time, and they were fucking in the background like having panic, like having a breakdown, like makes you feel like those times are like normal, if that makes sense.
It makes them human.
Yeah,
The brand
exactly,
more human,
and makes you feel like you can do it without that. You don't have to be a superhuman to do it. Like you can just be a normal everyday guy.
Because like if they didn't show that, you just think, man, they always get everything right, bang, bang, bang. Even the any brands really.
Yeah.
Like
I think they've been pretty good at doing that, and that like they release like a documentary.
Yeah, it's good. It's good that you mentioned that because
every
I've
6
seen
months.
those. I've seen those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. I would say that more people, more designers, more brands should share the journey, the processes, the mistakes, and all of that.
100%.
So, what do you think you need to do to take your brand to the next level?
Yeah, I'm going through a bit of a rebrand next year. So I'm moving back to Oz in December, and like just over a week now. And I think the next big challenge is going to be just getting back in touch with the roots of the brand, to be honest. I've been out. I've obviously held connections back home for like the last 4 years, but I think trying to replicate what I'm doing in London, in Melbourne, might be different. But on the flip side, I'll have support from like friends and family who have always been supporting me from the other side anyway. But yeah, I think just internally, I just need to stick it out. Like, I'm going through a bit of a shift now where I don't want to do things like that are just basic anymore. So I really think my brand journey has been like, yeah, let's do prints and stuff, and like let's kind of get a bit creative and colorful. And then it's went into this phase where it's like, let's stick with basics because that's what's selling right now. Let's just do like focus on the cut and the material. And now I've done that, and I've done the creative stuff. I've done the design stuff. I think I'm pretty good with like a tech pack now and like communication. Like this jumper, for example, came back from the supplier after the first time, and it's like perfect. Like I can't complain at all. Yeah, I think I just need to keep at it and get a bit more creative now, because I think sometimes you lack the confidence to be out there if you don't really know like if it's going to work or not. But now I've just like I've done all the basic stuff. I think I've demonstrated that I can build an audience. I've demonstrated I can like do it. So now it's just like taking the punt and getting a bit more creative. I don't think I need anything else from anybody in general. Like I just internally just need to keep doing what I'm doing, because I'm in a much more like confident state now than I was like 12 months ago, and then more than I was before then. So yeah, it's just growth, man.
Would you say it's to do with consistency that built your confidence?
Yeah, I think just managing the setbacks, to be honest, because like you also think you're not doing great sometimes, or you think like you get in your head and you're like, oh, fucking 3 likes on my post, like a brand must be terrible. And once you like bypass all the numbers that don't really mean anything, and like when you drop something you sell, that's really all that matters. Or like when you put an event, people come, like those are the things that matter. Like comparing yourself to another brand, or like worrying about likes, like so many things attribute to likes. Like if you post at the wrong time, for example, or on the wrong day, like that doesn't really mean your brand's shit.
Nah, trust you.
Do you know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
that's also a learning curve. So I think for me, it's just now just consistency, to be honest. I think I know what I need to do, and I think I'm not, like, the brand's not perfected by any means, so it's very early stages, but like, yeah, just keep going, to be honest.
Yeah. So touching back onto that question, or at least for me, what I need to do to take my brand to the next level, I think it would be just learning how to sew, the technicalities. Because for
Yeah,
me,
same.
I'm
I
an
want to learn how to sew too.
I'm an artist at heart,
Yeah.
so my hands need to have touched my creation.
Imagine you could create the sample by yourself. Like that would be
No,
my
yeah,
dream.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because there's more speed. You can do it quicker. Because then instead of like trying to find someone to do it for you and whatnot, you could just refine the process basically if you know how to do it yourself.
Yeah.
So
then
yeah,
once you get that sample, you ship that, and then you
yeah, because you already have a tangible product you're wearing because you made it and all of that. Because for my own brand, I ran this marketing campaign that I'm still running now, which was designing 365 looks.
Yeah, I saw that. It's hard.
For 365 days. So I'm like on day 330 today, which I still need to draw after this. But it's like I've given myself a constraint where I just design. So at the very, very early stage of a design process. So once this whole thing is done, it's time for me to actually move on to the next step and start creating those designs that I previously
Have you seen your sketches get better over the year?
100%. Like when you do something so consistently, you will improve. There's no like, if you show up every single day, you will improve. And that's what I've seen. So like, it's not even just like the drawings, it's the editing, it's the copywriting,
the creativity as well. Yeah,
the creativity, the way I manage my time. It's just all these other things that you wouldn't think would improve, because obviously when I first started, it's about just designing. But then there's other things around it that got better and skill-wise. But yeah, it's just now moving into the next step and then learning how to sew, the craft of sewing. Because then for me, being able to do it just cuts everything, man. Like you said,
yeah.
you can get it right on the first day. Even like with your jumper right now, like you got it on the first sample. Like that's what you want. Get it right on the first try. Because then it kind of skips all the errors that could happen.
Yeah, and they could take like 6 months as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because then if you know already you have this created and it fits perfectly, and then you send it out, they can't fuck that up. What do you think is more important, craftsmanship or marketing?
I personally think marketing, only because you can, like, someone else can do the craftsmanship, right? If you don't know how to market, but you know, like, obviously there's so many good people who can like sew and create garments, but they don't know anything about business or marketing their stuff. So like, that's just from my experience. I think it's like a fantastic secondary skill to have.
Definitely.
And that's why I want to get into like the craftsmanship side of it, because I think it would just help the process 10 times better. But I think nowadays it'd be near impossible if you weren't like a good marketer to get your brand out there. Like, you could create the best pieces like anyone's ever seen, but if you don't know how to market it, then what's the point really?
Yeah.
Unless you're doing it for yourself. But that's my take anyway. And that could change when I start trying to learn that stuff. So I'm not like 100% tied to that answer, but right now, all the people I've seen, like, that I know of, they're experts in marketing rather than the craftsmanship side, and I've always picked up the craftsmanship side as a secondary skill if they decide to do that.
It's funny because that's because for me, I'm more on the marketing side too, because obviously the 365 days, I don't have clothing for that.
Yeah.
I'm just pushing. It's more of just pushing what the brand could possibly be and the brand values. So yeah, it's really focused on the marketing side. But then yeah, like you said, craftsmanship can come secondary, but you need both. But then in the context of a brand, it's good to have the marketing, because obviously that's what gets your stuff in front of people. But then it's the craftsmanship that would make them say, come for a second product, third, fourth, fifth, and just the whole thing.
Yeah. Also, what is craftsmanship, right? Like that could be your craftsmanship with building a tech pack, or your craftsmanship
yeah.
with designing. Like if we're talking specifically about sewing craftsmanship or like the technical side, then my answer is the same. But if you're talking about like design or like your craftsmanship in the process, then that's probably as important as marketing. Cool. So do you think the fashion industry is inclusive?
Inclusive. I think originally fashion, there's some like snobs type of thing.
100%.
Like they're gatekeepers type, like the whole kind of like the main people, the main kind of like foundational grounds of it, they're kind of like very gatekeeper kind of like mindset. And but now, because of the internet, I would say it's starting to become more inclusive. Like you said, like anyone can voice their expressions or whatever personalities through a clothing brand.
Yeah.
So whether it be what communities out there, they can all have expression through a brand. So I would say, in terms of like, not the actual institutions, I would say is not inclusive, but it's the people that could just start their own stuff. That's the inclusive part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I agree. Yeah, I mean, it depends. Yeah, if you're talking about it as an industry or as in like the high houses, if they're inclusive. But as an industry, I think it's like it's an accessible industry. Anyone can do it if they like have the resources. Like nowadays, you don't need to be like a seamstress to be a fashion designer. Like, so in that sense, I think it's trending towards a more inclusive industry. But there's still like a lot of gatekeepers and things like that that kind of block potential from hitting the masses sometimes. Like, especially when you're talking about like how many times have Zara and like H&M whatever copied like designs of
the small designers,
local designers, which is just so shit, right? Like fast fashion is already a problem. They shouldn't be kind of like coming in and stealing designs. That's the last thing the industry needs. I think it's little bits and pieces like that. It's not necessarily to do with inclusion, but it kind of makes the industry a bit more difficult to kind of break, if that makes sense. But I think it's quite an inclusive industry as a whole.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Okay, what are the fundamentals that tie successful streetwear brands together?
That's a good question. I think like obviously the personality behind the brand seems to be like the common denominator behind all these successful brands. Like I don't see anyone, like I've seen brands that that are great, but I think the personality behind it make a lot more of a statement than the actual clothes themselves. I think that's just one thing that people underestimate or like don't really talk about or know about when they are starting a business. I don't think that's just fashion either. I think like people just gravitate towards people that they want to be like, want to dress like, or they respect, whatever it might be. So I think that's like a massive key fundamental. And then another thing is like just not taking any shortcuts as well, and like putting in the hard yards. Like nothing really gets given to you, I think, especially in fashion. And if people like see that and see that you're working, might take you 2 years, might take you 5 years, might take you 15 years. It's got to keep being persistent, really.
Do you think that we have to be in the front of it, so sort of our personalities, more of the personality than the actual products that we push out, or is it a balance, you think?
I think it's a balancing act for sure. I mean, you can't have like crap products, right?
Yeah,
Like, you
yeah,
need to like do your
definitely.
best to put out good products, but I think you definitely need to at least align the brand with yourself. So for me, for example, I try to like anything I do externally, like when I'm out with friends or I'm out talking to people or meeting new people, I try to be like on brand for my own brand, if that makes sense. So if you go on my like personal Instagram, it looks quite similar to my brand
Okay,
Instagram. The
yeah, yeah, yeah.
aesthetic's quite similar. Like you can tell it's clearly my brand. I'm not like trying to be someone else with the brand
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like
yeah.
whatever it might be. And that's only something I picked up like recently. But I think now, yeah, you definitely need to be at the forefront of your brand. What about you?
Yeah, well, for me, yeah, I was literally gonna say like, very the same, very the same.
I mean, your brand's your name, right? So
Yeah,
it's,
yeah, Galanacci,
yeah.
Galanacci. But yeah, no, I was gonna say, because for me, my brand is my another kind of like outlet for me as a to push out self-expression. So would you say your own brand is a place for you to push out a side of you, through self-expression?
I'd love to be able to say yes, but I actually don't think so. I think like whatever
Okay.
I design, I started building the brand because I wanted to design things that were accessible for me that weren't in the market or might have been too expensive or I just wasn't confident in. And I just used that as a base. And then obviously my friends also kind of dressed similar to me. So that was like
Okay.
the start of the brand because it was like, oh yeah, I'd wear that. And that's kind of where I started. So I try to basically identify pieces in my wardrobe that I really want to wear. So I would never drop something that I wouldn't want to wear every day, if that makes sense.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
less of
Yeah.
like a creative like expression for me in terms of message, but more like designing and making what I actually would use and what like I feel comfortable in.
Yeah, because that's what I meant. Like the self-expression stuff, it's your kind of like expression of how
Yeah,
you dress and
exactly.
all
Yeah,
of
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So yeah, yeah. So it does apply to yours too.
And back to the question, like, what do you think are the things that tie great streetwear brands together?
I think it's just the grind, man. It's those that actually are in the grind,
Mm,
because that's where when you're in the grind in the process, we both know it's long, but then it's within those that you learn what your brand is, what your message you want to push out. You get to know more about you,
mm.
and there's just all these little details that if you just started and you wouldn't really think about those things, but when you're in the grind, it's just very natural for those things to just pop up and stuff like that. So
Do
it's
you think it takes time to adjust to that though?
yeah, you slowly, because obviously you're creating something, like you're constantly producing something, because obviously to get in front of people you have to put out stuff or anything. And how I view it is they all stayed consistent in the grind. So like for example, Clint, I think I like when he shares the kind of like before his brand popped off. So he was like
In the
what?
garage and bedroom and all
Yeah,
that
like
sort of stuff.
bouncing
Yeah.
off. He was homeless or whatever at one point, stuff like that. So you can see that they were in the grind.
Mm.
And I think that's what ties together these successful streetwear brands, because you have to be in there. Because then if you're just there to make a quick buck, then after 1 year you're gone, and then
You don't even
done.
make really a quick buck. I don't think I've
Yeah,
invested
no,
way
that's
more
true.
than.
That's true. That's true. Haven't had this conversation. What one piece of advice would you give to each other?
Okay, I'll start. I think like you obviously have like mad design skills. Like you've got a sick background in design, and I think you're obviously on your own path. Um, what's one piece of advice actually?
Yeah.
I feel like you've got your direction. You're super confident already. I think, but the fact that I haven't seen like a collection or like your own sort of collection yet. I've seen like your drawings. I know you've got the skill, and like you obviously like know what you're doing. I just can't wait to see that first like um, curated collection that you've made. Like I know you
Yeah.
do a lot of like custom stuff, vintage stuff, and like you do a lot of sick work. But as a designer, I'd be mad to see like your own kind of
Yeah.
like this is
Ideas.
you thing,
Yeah.
like not
Yeah.
using an old vintage piece, but like like you said,
Cut and sew stuff.
yeah, cut and sew stuff. Even if it's like not your own sewn stuff, but like your own collection, like that would be dope. And I think you'd do something great with that,
Definitely.
which I'm sure is on the cards, but like keen to see it soon. Cool.
And then for me, for you, I would say Yeah, because obviously you said that you want to get into the whole kind of like learning how to sew, because it's always good to venture out and learn those skills, because they're just very fundamental, especially in the industry that we're in.
Yeah.
Building a brand. No, and yeah, I always push for people to learn new things, like, because it would help you in the long run. Like, this is all about longevity. Like, you want to be in the industry for as long as you can. Like, you don't want to be like here today, gone tomorrow type of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, just because I know learning a new thing is hard, but it's just like sticking with it, stick with it, stick longer at. I have this saying: stick long enough to see the results.
100%.
So yeah, that's the advice I'd give
Yeah,
to you.
I think I'm more like on the business side, 100%, whereas
Yeah.
you're more on the technical side. So
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
good like
yeah.
comparison. I
Yeah,
think I
that's-
could definitely like learn to use learn to use the iPad a bit more and actually get a bit more creative with like sketching and stuff. So, and you've actually highlighted that in this chat, which is cool. So
Yeah, because even for me, like I like the business stuff, like learning about it, but it's obviously it's not my background. So yeah, it would be just embracing that learning journey, because like literally what you're trying to do is the flip of what I'm trying to do.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's dope.
Maybe we should collaborate.
On the back end of things.
Yeah. Nah, sick, man.
I think that was dope. I'm Galanacci.
I'm Nate.
Thank
Thanks
you for watching
Ready to Talk.